What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Cinema 3D. I am Justin, and today I have a very special guest, my wife, Janae. Today we're going to be talking about the hidden gem of all streaming services, that is Apple TV Plus. So this is definitely an impromptu, no script, no plan, just going in. We want to talk about all of the shows that we love and a couple that we didn't really like. But I remember I had seen Defending Jacob before we were married, and then once we got married, I showed you that first episode, and then you watched the entire show. Stars Chris Evans, Jaden Martell, Michelle Dockery, and J.K. Simmons. The synopsis: after a shocking crime rocks a small town, an assistant district attorney finds himself torn between his sworn duty to uphold the law and his unconditional love for his son. It's one of those shows that I could watch like start to finish again and again and again, because there's always something new you could find out. And I don't know, just Chris Evans' performance, I really enjoyed seeing him in something that he wasn't playing Captain America.
He was a good father figure.
Yeah, and it
fit for the role.
Really delved into anger issues, being a father, trying to protect his son, but also figure out what actually happened. It was very interesting to see his relationship with his wife and his son and that dynamic, and then also with his coworkers that were friends, but also like maybe not at the same time, because they're trying to do right by the justice system, but that's hurting his family. And there's just all of these different things happening. It was a great first show for us to watch because it got us intrigued into what Apple TV Plus had to offer. And then that's why we're doing this episode, because we've watched not all of them, but we've watched a huge amount of them. And
most of the top shows we've seen, I would say like 8 out of 10 of the top shows. And they're really good.
After Defending Jacob, we took a bit of a break, and tagging on to that, we're not strictly Apple TV Plus subscribers.
No, we have Netflix, Hulu, Prime, HBO, Stars, Discovery,
Disney Plus.
Is Fubo
TV.
It's not really.
They do have some shows on there, but it's more live TV. And then obviously Apple TV Plus. I think that's everything. So the main ones we don't have is Paramount Plus and Peacock, which I don't really see a need to get. I mean, if I really needed to, or we wanted to, we could just, snag off someone else's account for once instead of letting other people snag off ours.
I mean, Netflix, I feel like, was very good back in the day and had all of the top good shows. I feel like there's been like a decline lately, and that's why we've been branching out to other platforms. And like right now, Apple TV, I think, has the highest quality shows, even though they're newer and less seasons. Like you have to wait a while for another season or episode to come out, but they have, I just think, the best actors, plots. Everything's just a higher quality. Even the intros are really cool. Like all of the intros to all of our shows, we don't actually mind watching because they're really cool. So even that's high quality.
The next one we watched was a recommendation from one of my friends. It's called Severance. This one was the one that really sold us on Apple TV Plus. Only one season right now. We're still waiting on season 2. But this show blew our minds. It stars Adam Scott, Britt Lauer, John Turturro, which is phenomenal, and Christopher Walken.
It's a big mystery show. Like you have no idea why these things are happening to them, and they don't either. Like they don't know what's going on when they're at work, why they can't remember certain things, and they get home. Well, I mean, I guess they do know because they sign on for this program.
It's the Severance program.
So that you can compartmentalize your life. It was like a controversial thing. Like some people are really for it and some people are really against it.
It's a really interesting idea, because if that was something that you could do in real life, I guarantee it would be like, it would pop off.
I think you would have to really hate one side of your life though. Like you'd have to hate your personal life so much you want to escape from it, or hate work so much that you don't want to think about it when you go home.
I think that would be the one that people would buy into more, because like so many people come home and they have the weight of their job on them. They don't have enough energy to live their personal life with their family or just on their own. And it hits everyone in a different way. But that's what I think this show brings to the table, is that concept in and of itself is something I've never seen presented in any form of movie or show before.
Well, it's like it's just so a little bit far-fetched to where it doesn't seem like it could happen in real life, but it probably could. Like I feel like as a society we could get to that point where people were taking these drastic measures to have an escape from their real life or from their work life.
Yeah. I didn't read the synopsis, so I'm going to read it. Mark, the main character, leads a team of office workers whose memories have been surgically divided between their work and personal lives. When a mysterious colleague appears outside of work, it begins a journey to discover the truth about their jobs. Directed by Ben Stiller, which blew my mind when I first saw that at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Ben Stiller being mainly a comedic actor, and also Adam Scott being mainly a comedic actor, and they teamed up and did something serious, which it does have some, I don't know the word, but some funniness to it.
Just a little bit of like dry work humor.
Yeah.
His personal life's kind of bleak.
So with that, we have Defending Jacob and Severance, which we both loved. That's what set us off on this path of Apple TV Plus. Like anything we thought we would be interested in, we hopped on. I think I'm trying to see what one we watched next. I'm pretty sure it was The Shrink Next Door.
Oh yeah, well that was the one that you got into a little bit more than I did.
Stars Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell, which very comedic actors. They've been in a lot of stuff, so it was interesting when I saw the trailer for it, whereas like, especially since it's inspired by a true story. Paul Rudd is like a therapist, and Will Ferrell's character is just, I think he's just like an entrepreneur who's trying to make his dad's company his own and be successful at it, but everyone thinks he can't do that. So he goes through a lot of depression and mental issues that he has to deal with Paul Rudd's character, but there's a lot of twists and turns with Paul Rudd being kind of a Ponzi scheme artist. Very interesting. Sometimes it could have been a drag, but since I was watching it by myself, it was okay. I thought Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell gave great performances for what their characters were supposed to be. And it was honestly kind of sad to see, because I feel like a lot of people could go through that, where they get, I don't know what the term
just
would be.
Taken advantage of.
Yeah, exactly. By someone who really looks like they're trying to help you, but they're just trying to help themselves.
I think that was part of it, where it was almost too realistic to where it was just too sad to watch, because he's fully trusting in this therapist and just spilling his guts to this guy, and just gets completely walked over, taken advantage of financially in any other way.
It's still a good watch. Definitely the least best out of the three that have been mentioned so far. But to have that being the least best so far and still be a good show, that's 3 for 3 for Apple TV. After The Shrink Next Door,
then it started getting good.
Yeah, with one minor me. I think the next one we watched was For All Mankind. It instantly became our new favorite show at the time.
Plus, I feel like a lot of these too in the beginning are kind of slow. Like for me, I judge a show way too quickly. If I'm not into it in like the first 10 minutes, I usually turn it off. And some of these are like that, but they always get really good by the second or third episode. Yeah.
The story is kind of big, and the whole idea behind it is, I think what intrigued us is it's like, actually, the synopsis: exploring the possibilities that might exist if the global space race had continued, and where humanity would be now. So once we figured out that that was like the plot, we were also trying to figure out what was like real and what wasn't, what was changed, and then the way they interlaced real footage that actually, or real things that actually happen in real life into the show with the fake things that they added. If you don't know history, you get very confused, and you think that life happened a very different way.
Yeah.
Especially with the space race, because that's what it's all about. But
I feel like it started to alter what I actually remember from history, because it was like this combination of real and made up, but it looked so real that I remember we would just be like, is that real or fake? What actually happened? Because I can't remember. Even like them showing like old footage of like presidential speeches, and there'd be a character from the show that looked like perfectly, I don't know, CGI, whatever you call it.
Like
they're like blurry, the color all match, and like that looks like they were literally there like in the 60s or whatever.
It's a great show with great visuals, great story, great music, great acting, great everything. That was that one. I think we mentioned, what, 4 now? I think the next one you're going to be excited about because it is a show called See. So it's a 3-season show, stars Jason Momoa, amazing actor, amazing in this show.
Of course. I feel like the role was just made for him.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even feel like he's acting. It's like, that's who...
This is what he is in real
Baba
life.
Voss is Jason Momoa.
And what an amazing name, Baba Voss.
That's the thing I don't understand, where the English language has shifted to such odd names, because they speak English normally. But then they have these random names like Baba Voss and Magra, Tamakti June, like Sybil. What even is that?
Paris is the only normal
there's a Paris. There's no Roberts.
I don't really know. I mean, I feel like obviously we're not going to really see any more of it, but maybe it was just something to make the show different, because it's a post-apocalyptic show, but it's set in like what primitive back in the those times. So it's like past and future at the same time. Yeah,
like you see the ruins of modern day America. Like you'll get glimpses of like city skylines every now and then. There's covered in vines and stuff, but then there's no technology. It's like swords and spears and bows, which is cool.
Yeah. And the main thing about the show, they can't see. That's why the show is called See. They're blind.
Some can.
Some can. Very few.
But they're considered witches.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And there are witch hunters who think that the people who can see, which have to live their whole lives in hiding and pretend that they can't. They have to hide or else they'll get murdered by these savage witch hunters that just come into villages and kill the sighted people. So
murder everyone.
There's a lot of gore. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of blood. Every single episode we're like, that's a new way to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Interesting way to slaughter someone that we've never seen before. Like Jason Momoa has unlimited creativity when it comes to killing. But it has some really cool stuff, which I enjoyed most about the show was seeing how they function as a fully blind society in ways that they've adapted to function. Like they have to use sounds a lot more. So they have like little bells everywhere to let them know where they are. They have ropes they can follow to different places in the village. Yeah. Or, I mean, their sense of smell is heightened. Some of the people in their village have like extremely heightened hearing. Like they're like freakishly good at hearing, like miles away. They can tell you how many people there are, how many horses or dogs, or even how they feel. Like she can sense fear or sense anger far away. So that's pretty cool. And there's some that are almost completely undetectable. I forget the names of the ones that are like in all white. But it's like they're the ghost. It's like they walk around and they hear things. And I don't remember what their role is in the society, but people can like ask them to go spy on someone and they can't hear anything. They don't make a sound when they move. They just like morph around in the woods.
Yeah.
You don't know where they are.
It's like a ghost. I know they had a specific name. I just can't remember what it was, but it was a cool name.
Yeah.
Man.
Gotta watch it though.
Yeah, the show, there's so many things I remember this was kind of like the one that sparked the idea of wanting to even talk about Apple TV shows. Yeah,
it was just incredible too. Also, like back to the senses and how that's all used in this show. Even like, for example, since you can't see, what they're wearing and beauty's not visible, it's like they do other things. Like there was a wedding scene and the bride was just like head to toe wearing flowers. And so the smell was what made her a beautiful bride, and maybe different things on her dress that you could feel, like beads or little stones or something that incorporated into their outfits. You could feel all the tactile stuff. That's beauty too. So it's other ways they've found beauty other than just visual.
Yeah. And it's true love is found in that show with some people, some weird, some good. like you said, there is some weird stuff that happens with a few of the characters, and it kind of made us uncomfortable for many reasons. But
yeah, like there's some weird relationships going on with some people in the village, and it's like an aunt and her nephew. I'm like, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, it all pans out in the end, I think, but I don't know, it was just strange the way they, not in a bad way, like it made sense with the story, I guess, but it was just like not something you would want to watch necessarily. But adding on to the layers of like how far the show goes to add lore to it, even just, I don't know, I just always love the way they talk about, like I think they're talking about cement and bombs. Like they call cement God Bone.
Oh, and God Flame.
And God Flame is fire. And they called a bomb something else. Man, was it God Thunder?
Even like books, which they have no clue what they are, it just feels, they can just feel it. They're like discovering these things for the very first time, and it's like, what are these? I don't know. And they're like flipping through a book, and it's like, you should know what that is, but it's like, oh yeah, they can't see. Their braille is like knots tied on string. So they don't have books, obviously they don't have braille, but they have this like knot system. So that's the kind of stuff I really like, is the details of how they function and read and get around and stuff.
Yeah, like the knots, the paths that they just somehow know through the woods or whatever. The God Thunder was bombs.
Yeah.
Which that's a huge part of the plot. I think in season 2 and 3 is the fact that, you know, there's no weapons because it's post-apocalyptic. But some people that can see are mostly like used to try and bring back past civilizations' weaponry.
Yeah, they're allowed to read the books.
Yeah. It's just super interesting show, and it's sad that not very many people have seen it, because I think it's not, honestly, it doesn't have that great of rating, which sucks. I've seen some people who have seen it not really enjoy it that much. They say it's just kind of boring and it's slow and uninteresting, and I don't understand why. Maybe these people have the attention span of a walnut, but like I don't know.
I just think Jason Momoa put his all into this, because I can't imagine how physically taxing this role was, because like 80% of the show he is on his knees walking around. He hardly walks on his feet, because when you're on the ground you can like feel things, and he uses his little axe to like feel around. So he's literally like squatting or crawling in almost every single scene. Like, can you imagine doing that for months on end every single day?
Yeah,
like, he had to be so dedicated. I feel like he also brought parts of his own personality into it. Like in the very beginning there's this war scene, and I don't know if he's like Samoan or something.
He is.
Okay, well, he's like doing one of, is it called a haka? Is like those Hawaiian or Samoan like chanting dance things. And it's like, oh, this role was made for him, because he is like the war chief leader, and it totally fits him. Because like I've seen a lot of other shows with Jason Momoa, and like he's always, you know, killing people and the leader and stuff, but I feel like this one is the best fit for him that I've seen.
Yeah. This and Aquaman are his two best roles in my opinion. I don't know if you've seen Aquaman, but literally perfect casting as Aquaman, even though he doesn't look like the comic Aquaman that you would see somewhere if I had an actual DC poster in here. But I just looked up this, I didn't get a real answer, but I'm pretty sure based off what I've seen, they actually wore these things called blind contacts, where it pretty much makes you almost fully blind. So and they had blind consultants on set to help them act like blind people, because he said he wanted it to be he didn't want to be insensitive towards the people who actually are blind. So that's just another level of, you know, reality that he wanted to achieve on the show, because he was one of the main show heads, as he normally does, like his other show Frontier on Netflix that I really like. Has some similar vibes to this one, but I think this one's way better. But yeah, I know we talked a lot about this show.
There's so many other details I wish I could name.
Yeah, without getting into spoilers.
That's just super cool. Like the small details that went into making this look incredibly realistic is insane.
Yeah, and even the CGI looked really good. Whenever there was like bombs or fire or just wide view of the world that is not real because they had to create it all.
Oh, one cool thing that I really liked about Baba Voss is his role as a father. Like, he will do literally anything, go anywhere, fight anybody, and he gets like, stabbed or cut or beat up so bad, but he just like keeps going. Like, they cannot kill this guy. And his kids, one of them is really impulsive and dumb. He has to rescue them like, I don't know how many times, but he always pulls it off
somehow.
It's just cool. Like, he will go anywhere, and they're not even his biologically, which you find out pretty early on. I think in the first episode, so it's not really even a spoiler.
Yeah.
But they're not even his kids biologically, but he's raised them since they were born. It's like, man,
I know,
guys, he is like, dude. It's like Liam Neeson, but like next level, like,
and jacked,
even more wild. Yeah
he's great in the show. And another point to that is in season 2, when you find out who his brother is, and it's played by Dave Bautista, a person who is equally as jacked, if not more, than Jason Momoa. And when they finally face off and interact, it's incredible. And like, you really don't know who's gonna win. No spoilers, but we all know who really does win.
Well, I mean, when a father and is protecting his children, that's like the driving force,
the adrenaline,
the willpower to do whatever it takes.
After C, I'm pretty sure, or at this time we were watching C, and I think we were watching another one, which in all honesty is the worst one we've seen. We were watching Invasion. We watched the trailer and read the synopsis, and it sounded cool. It said it had Sam Neill in it. This is the only show that we are going to recommend you not watch. It is the biggest waste of time. I don't know why we finished it. You were holding out hope that it would be good.
Yep.
I was intrigued because Sam Neill was supposed to be in this, and I'm going to give spoilers for this one just so I spare you guys the headache of watching this. He freaking dies in the first episode.
Yeah.
Which the episodes are like 50 minutes long. He was in it probably 6 minutes total. He had a scene, not even cool. He was introduced, and you cut back to him towards the end of the first episode, and he just disappears. Technically don't even know if he died. He just disappears. And it is the biggest, like, you instantly felt like, oh, this show, or Apple in this case, spent the money on Sam Neill, but they could only afford him for one episode.
Well, that makes sense, because he was like the biggest, best character, a lot of potential, and they killed him off. And then they have these other not as well-known actors. And every single episode is all of this hype. It's really dramatic. Aliens are here. People are in trouble. Are we going to see aliens? Not this episode. You go to the next episode, it's all this hype, all this drama, all these characters talking about I don't even know what.
Yeah.
And then again, no aliens. The whole show has no aliens, right? I don't think we ever saw anything.
We did.
We did?
It was like in the very last episode is when you finally really see them.
Yeah, well, at the very, very, very end, like usually alien shows, like boom, aliens in the street, killing everybody, attacking.
Yeah.
And it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, the synopsis, Earth is visited by an alien species that threatens humanity's existence. That is like stock, if I've ever seen one. Events unfold in real time through the eyes of 5 ordinary people across the globe as they struggle to make sense of the chaos unraveling around them. I know synopsises are not supposed to like really give you plot details, but that is probably one of the worst ones I've ever seen. That is like let
Aliens
me tell you,
attack. People figure it out.
Yeah, like this show exists. You should watch it. Why? I don't know. Sam Neill's in it.
And then he's not. And then it's these other characters that nobody really cares about.
It's sad that we're trying to hype Apple TV Plus up, which for the most part we are. Mm-hmm. But this show is just...
Well, the thing is, too, it's not in the top 10 most popular Apple TV shows. It's in the top ones. Like, there's like... When you scroll through, there's like 20 or so that they recommend you. It's not in the top. It's like 19 or 18 or something. And
at that time, we were just trying to find something to watch while we weren't watching a CD.
We like alien stuff.
Yeah. A lot of shows jump around. This one jumps around a lot too. But like it says, 5 ordinary people. They are the most ordinary people you could ever watch in a show.
And they stay ordinary.
One that was the coolest was the military dude. But he was, it was boring. And then there was something with the kid, with which the other ordinary person was like the mom, and I think her kid had a connection or something to the aliens or something like that. I could be completely wrong because I don't even remember the show, T-1 day, as Jeremy Johns would say, but that rhymed too. But it is just probably one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life. I will say though, the only plus about it is when the aliens show up, the design of the aliens is actually kind of cool. They were like floating... They honestly look like giant viruses that, like the graphics of viruses you see in the health books. Mm-hmm. It looked like that. So that was cool, but you didn't barely see them.
Yep.
And like, you don't really know what their powers are. You don't know what they're here for. It's literally just, they're trying to invade the Earth, but for what? At least like other alien stuff you see, like Independence Day, they literally just want to take over the world because they've done that before. Mm-hmm. But there's actually cool characters like Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum who are trying to fight back, and the president of the United States. You don't see anyone in this show. It's 5 ordinary people across the entire globe, so there's no one actually interacting with each other.
No, and the show is trying so hard to hype it up and get you really, really excited, really, really invested, and then you do. It's like... nothing at all ever.
It's just bad.
Yep.
It's got a 45% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think out of all the ones we've seen is the worst. A lot higher than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it should be like 2.
I'd say probably like 15 or 20%, but then again, Rotten Tomatoes kind of sucks anyway. Their ratings are just never really accurate. But in this case, it, for the most part, is accurate. And the thing that sucks the most is it's getting a season 2. I don't know how. I would love to say that we're not going to watch it, but for sake of our OCD and completeness, we probably will. And maybe do a follow-up video and see if season 2 is better than season 1.
The thing is, we always have so much hope that these shows can turn it around and it'll be good. But just like with Fear of the Walking Dead season 8.
Season 7 and 8.
Oh my word. They went straight down the toilet.
Yeah.
Such a good show. Man.
Yeah.
Probably had like 5-year-olds writing the script because every other word out of Morgan's mouth was Mo.
Gotta go back to
Padre. Gotta go back to Padre. Mo, no. Dwayne. Like, it's just a Morgan drama saga. Anyway, we always have hope, so we probably will watch Invasion season 2, and it's going to be terrible and a waste of a week of our life.
It actually the first episode comes out in about a week or 2.
Oh, great.
So yeah, we'll definitely do something. Also, we definitely will be talking about some zombie content coming soon. As
a lot of that.
As you mentioned, Fear the Walking Dead, another worst show we've ever watched, Walking Dead World Beyond. Some of the spin-offs, like Walking Dead Dead City, we just finished, which is actually really good, really fun time. And some of the new ones, Daryl Dixon, The Rick and Michonne Show. So we'll definitely do a Walking Dead theme video and some just other zombie stuff we watch. We've watched like Z Nation, some other movies and stuff like that. Because we love zombies. But yeah, Invasion sucked. So don't watch it. And if you do, I'm so sorry. Okay, moving on. Next one we watched, I'm pretty sure, was Blackbird. So much better than Invasion. I think it was 6 episodes. Let me look it up really quick.
If you like serial killer type shows, this is the one for you.
Stars Taron Egerton, Paul Walter Hauser, Ray Liotta, rest in peace. Jimmy Keene, who's played by Taron Egerton, begins a 10-year prison sentence. He gets an incredible offer. If he can elicit a confession from suspected killer Larry Hall, he will be freed. Completing this mission becomes the challenge of a lifetime. And the challenge of a lifetime it is, because Larry Hall is a creepy dude.
I peeked in the womb.
Yeah, we always repeat that line. I peeked in the womb.
He's got this baby face where you really don't know, is this guy, psycho, or is he just wrongly charged? Mm-hmm. You find out kind of pretty soon.
It's very similar to Defending Jacob, with a lot of court justice theme going into it. It does a great job at throwing you off in certain scenes, and you're honestly forced to side with a dude who's probably not the greatest dude, which is James Keene. But there's a worse dude out there because he's a rapist, a creepy one at that. And there's
driving around in a white van, creepy.
Yeah, like the stereotypical don't walk up to the white van and grab candy. So James Keene, Taron Egerton's character, he's in order to lose time on his sentence, he has to befriend Larry Hall and figure out if he actually did it or not. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens over the course of 6 episodes. It's a limited series, so only 1 season. We were hooked.
I like shows like that.
Yeah.
I was into like Bates Motel type of stuff. It's either he is a totally normal dude who's not being understood, or he is a serial killer, rapist, psycho that needs to be locked up in jail. It's like, it could go either way. It's a big swing either way.
The performances were really good. You bought into both of their personas.
Mm-hmm. Because is it Larry? Is the creepy guy?
Larry's the creepy guy.
He talks like in this high-pitched voice, like, I definitely don't remember doing that. And it's like a slow southern voice where like
a drawl.
This guy, it has to be innocent. He's too like docile and soft-spoken to just be out there snatching people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then, I mean...
Interesting.
Trying to stay away from spoilers, but like There are some scenes where you do feel that way you just described, but then at the same time, it leaves a sense of uneasiness. Like, there's there's one scene where he's talking. Jimmy and Larry are Jimmy's trying to figure out if Larry did it, and he asks him some pointed question, like, so what do you think about like little girls or something like that? And Larry initially is like, what? What are you talking about, kind of thing. And then all of a sudden he just goes into like this whole like, I told her not to do this and she did it, so I had to do this. And it's like, whoa, he just like completely did a 180. But at the same time, by the end of that conversation, Jimmy's left like, I still don't know if he did this or not. And his whole sentence is on the line. So like there's so many stakes in this short show for both of them, and Jimmy's dad, because I think his dad, if I remember correctly, was an ex-cop, I think. But yeah, this one was really good. We watched this one pretty quick because it had already been out and the whole show was pretty much done. So
yeah, if there's a show with a full season out, it takes us less than a week.
Yeah,
you watch like 2 episodes every single night.
Yeah, nowadays, I mean, we just finished Dead City, as we mentioned earlier, but we have like I think 3 or 4 Apple TV shows that we're watching right now. So every week we have Apple TV content, flooding
Thursdays
us.
are a good day for us.
Yeah. So that's Blackbird. Great show. Recommend it for sure. The next one we watched, I think we started Ted Lasso around this time. I really wanted to talk about this one last, but I think let's just get it out the way now.
Okay.
You're kind of hooked instantly. There were so many moments. It's 3 seasons and it's done. Mm-hmm. But from the get-go, I mean, I typically don't really like comedic shows that much.
Me either.
Okay, so we both don't typically buy into comedic shows. This one is so funny, heartfelt. It's got drama. It's got the fun. It's got joy. I mean, it's just kind of like that overall show that has everything you could want in a show. From start to finish, you immediately love a lot of these characters. It's not just Ted Lasso, it's not just Coach Beard, it's not Roy Kent. Like, there's a lot of characters that you kind of feel for throughout the show, which is a testament to how good the writing is and how great the storytelling is in this show and the acting. I mean, Jason Sudeikis, which is Ted Lasso himself, him and the guy who plays Coach Beard, Brendan Hunt, they were both writers on the show. So they had a huge part in telling the story. Hannah Waddingham, who plays Rebecca, Brett Goldstein, legend, Roy Kent.
Roy Kent, my favorite.
Juno Temple as Keeley, Phil Dunster as Jamie Tott, and Nick Mohammed as Nathan Shelley. Those are just like 6 or 7 of the characters, but you know like 15 of them by the end of season 3. There's so many great moments throughout this show.
It's just like how sincere a lot of the characters are.
Yeah.
With like, I feel like a lot of the characters just like wear their heart on their sleeve, and so it's like you just kind of like go, "Aw," like, "Oh, that's so sweet," or "That's so heartfelt." Like the team they like come together in the beginning. They're not as close knit, but more and more they become like really close to each other, and it's because of Ted Lasso. Like his coaching style is they're not just players, but he says like he wants them to be the best versions of themselves, and then they become like BFFs and they really care about each other, and it's just really sweet and heartfelt.
There was quite a few episodes where I teared up, and you'll probably laugh at me, but I did tear up at quite a few of them because I don't know, it hit me. Like, it's just how it literally is labeled as a comedy drama, and this is the one where I wanted to cry. I think I wanted to cry in For All Mankind at one sequence at the end of season 2. I don't know if you remember, but it was with the husband and wife who were going through marital problems. But Ted Lasso had me wanting to cry the most, especially at the end of season 3.
Yeah, I feel like I teared up maybe once or twice.
And it's so good. Like,
well, it's just so funny too. Like, I also love like British accents, so that's like one of the things I was like, you hear a lot of different British accents. Like Jamie Tart is just like extremely British. I don't even know, like when he says Keely, like Keela, Jamie Tart. It's just their accents too, I find as an American, are really interesting to listen to, so I like that aspect of it. And then you have Ted Lasso, who is like uber American Southern drawl, doesn't even know any of the soccer terms or British terms, and I just think it's hilarious. And then you have Roy Kent, who is this extremely angry, explicit. I mean, he says the F word like every other word, and
it's hilarious.
If that's not your thing, then you're not gonna like this. But if you just get over how many F-bombs this guy throws, like underneath this like hard spiky shell is like a really sweet like teddy bear of a guy. And he hates when that's exposed, but then he kind of starts to accept that's how he is, and then I don't know.
I would highly suggest this one.
And it's like rated, isn't it the #1 show on Apple TV?
Yeah,
it's top 3.
It's not now just because there's new shows that they're trying to promote, but
it was
overall,
for a while.
Like if we're looking at all of them, this is the highest rated show, and it's won the most awards, whether it's writing or acting or just anything, honestly. But they knocked it out of the park. Really excited for any spin-offs, but we always have these 3 seasons to go back to, and it's really rewatchable. We tried to show one of your family members recently, and I think they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it's fun. So yeah, Ted Lasso. Let's see. I just gotta make sure I'm catching my bearings right. Okay, I think this one was a little bit out of order. We haven't finished season 2 yet, just because this show was more of a let's watch it just in our downtime kind of thing. Prehistoric Planet.
That one's on there.
Yeah, it's a show.
But I can talk about this one.
Yeah, so we haven't finished season 2, but season 1, it's 5 episodes per season.
And we haven't even finished the second one though.
No, I think we have.
We watched the first one.
And it's not because it's bad. It's just it's more like a National Geographic thing where it's like, it's more like a background show. It's got, what's his name, David Attenborough,
the best narrator of all time, the legend David Attenborough.
Welcome back to the prehistoric planet.
Exactly. That's pretty good.
But he's great. The music is actually really well done. The visuals are stunning.
It's insane.
That's what really is phenomenal.
It's just like you're watching it live.
When we first started the first episode of season 1, I didn't really know how they accomplished this. And then I found out that it's like 90 to 95% CGI. Like even some of the locations to make it look like how it would have looked in their timeline of dinosaurs and stuff. Most of it's CGI or VFX.
Okay.
The fact that it looks so real, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. And the thing that I really liked is I've seen a lot of all of those National Geographic or whatever, like dinosaur stuff. I really like all the dinosaur shows, and they show like, I guess they're all, they gotta be all real. You've never seen anything like these dinosaurs. Like,
yeah,
they're similar to what you've seen. Like they have like similar like T-Rex and like the ones with the really long necks and whatever, but they're even cooler.
Yeah, it's
just super cool. There's like all these new dinosaurs, or like some of these dinosaurs where they have like fur, and you're just like, I didn't think like a raptor.
The velociraptors, they look, that's how they actually look, because Jurassic Park, they look cool, but it's not accurate.
Yeah, these ones have fur, right?
Yeah, they have fur.
They're more colorful.
And they have wings.
Yeah. And they look smaller too.
They're a little bit smaller. Jurassic Park's still great, but they definitely fantasize the look of some of the dinosaurs, but this one keeps it accurate as much as they can to how they think, how scientists think, or whatever you call it,
dinosaur people
would think that they would look. Another cool thing that I just realized, why the music is so great is because it's Hans Zimmer.
Of course. The
goat as
two goats. David and Hans
Zimmer. That's just a recipe for success right there. But yeah, so we had a really good time watching this. It's not like there's no story. There is, I guess. They try to follow, like, they always follow some sort of a baby dinosaur, which kills us.
That's the thing that's heart-wrenching is about these nature shows. Babies, sometimes they don't make it. And it's like, why can't they just have a happy-go-lucky story where all of the little creatures survive? But that's nature. That's
just how it is. That's how they keep us attached to it, because we feel for the little babies.
I know.
Especially since we have one of our own.
Yeah.
But
and we somehow find little characters in all of these shows that I'm like, that looks like Atlas.
Yeah. Especially Baby Yoda.
Oh my goodness. I almost couldn't watch that show because I was so fearful of Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And what would happen to him. Because his eyes just look like my child. It's creepy.
But all in all, Prehistoric Planet, I know season 2 is good, even though we haven't finished it, but it's just a good time, something that you could definitely have on in the background.
Yeah.
It's just a fun thing to watch. It's more visually stunning than it is story driven, but
unique dinosaurs.
The next one, we took a little bit of a break, I remember, because we were watching some other shows on our many other streaming platforms that we currently have. We watched one called The Last Thing He Told Me, which it's not that it's bad. It's just it's nowhere near as bad as Invasion. It's just the least best out of anything that we've seen from Apple TV besides Invasion, because it was kind of short.
It's like Taken.
Yeah.
But with a mom and a stepdaughter.
It's got Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah, which I really like Jennifer Garner. It's just it was
based off
kind of a predictable, well, maybe not predictable, but
it is for some aspects, I think.
You don't know what's going on with the dad.
Yeah.
And if he's innocent or if he's kind of in on this, like, I don't know what you call it, with this company, if he's like one of the dirty guys, you know.
It's actually got the same rating as Invasion.
Well, I feel like it's definitely better than Invasion.
It is.
It has a satisfactory ending. You actually get an ending that makes sense.
Yeah, you do. I think this one should have been a movie. Like, I think the fact that they had it as a show, they definitely had some filler episodes where you could feel like they were dragging out the scenes just to make it a show. Which, I don't know why they decided to do that, because if they made a movie, they probably would have paid less for Jennifer Garner.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, maybe they just wanted it to be a show and they thought it would be good. It's based off a book. It is very stereotypical. The main difference is that it's a female lead instead of the male lead like Liam Neeson is in Taken.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some cool aspects of it, but I don't think a lot of them panned out as what we thought they would. It was a show that, you know, kept us through the week.
It's just one that you don't really remember that well.
Yeah.
Like, it was okay, but it's not.
I'm not going to rewatch it.
Don't. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine to be fine.
Yeah.
Like, not everything has to be amazing.
Some of these are. This one is not the amazing one.
Yeah. I definitely have Invasion at the bottom and then this one right above Invasion. Mm-hmm. Because of that fact. But Invasion is miles worse than this one, because at least this one has a story.
Yeah.
And it has some drama and some thrilling aspects to it. A good actor. And
recognize.
And even some of the supporting actors and actresses do a good job. It's just the story is kind of not that fresh as what all of the other Apple TV shows bring to the table. So
yeah. It's all the time it really deserves.
Yeah, for sure. So we got 3 left. These ones are definitely the most recent watches. We'll go with one of our most recent loves, I will say. Mm-hmm. Currently has 1 season. We're anxiously anticipating season 2.
Which one?
This one is called Silo.
Oh, I love Silo.
I remember after we finished season 1, we looked up as many videos on YouTube as we could about like predictions for season 2.
You'll have to look up that book I read when I was a kid that I feel like was they copied that. It's like another post-apocalyptic, which I think is our favorite genre ever.
Yeah.
They live underground in this big cylinder silo. It's got like 150 plus levels. It's like a massive thing, like, I don't know, 10,000 people maybe.
Probably, yeah.
And you think like that's the only people probably left in the world living in this underground silo. You have no idea kind of what happened really. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't really say.
No, they don't.
Other than just, people ruined Earth or whatever and it wasn't habitable anymore.
Pretty much all they say is like, we can't go outside. Yet the book that you were talking about is The City of Ember.
Yes, it's just like that.
Which you actually watched the movie after we watched the show, right?
Yeah, and it's really, really similar. Like, that came out like early 2000s.
Yeah.
And then you told me they said that they didn't copy City of Ember, but it's like, it's so similar.
It's very similar.
'Cause it's like the people in charge have the real information of what outside really is like. Mm-hmm. But I just remember saying like, well, why would they keep everyone inside? How could they benefit of not telling people the truth? Like, who would want to live underground?
I don't know.
But I loved Silo.
Yeah, there's so many great things about it. Just like post-apocalyptic, like you said. Mm-hmm. You don't know what the heck is going on. You're trying to figure it out with them. They're trying to figure it out. You think you know who the main character is in the first episode, and all of a sudden it switches to a different main character played by Rebecca Ferguson. Great actress.
Well, I always just like those kinds of shows, I guess, or movies where they have to develop a whole different way of functioning with their limited technology and
it's like
how they adapt to, I don't know, being underground and stuff like that.
They don't have elevators.
No.
You have to walk all 144 floors if you want to get to the bottom or the top.
Yeah, and it's like if the sheriff who's on the top floor wants to get down to the very, very bottom floor, they'll like, okay, I'll be there tomorrow night.
Yeah, which is
they have to walk. like 144 flights of stairs. Like they can't have like a little pulley elevator or anything, and then you soon find out it's just all control.
Yeah.
Like the government wants to control every ounce of technology that's not super primitive.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like guns and stuff, but there's
limitations.
Yeah, there's like no email. There's no cell phones. They do have walkie-talkies.
Yeah, it's like it's very cool to see how they have developed, even though it's underdeveloped since civilization has gone to crap. Like the whole stair system, there's no elevators. They have computers, but it's really old dial-up screens. They have a judicial system and a police system, but they are constantly at odds with each other. And then there's a mayor who's also like kind of in the mix between the police and the judicial system. It's just really cool to see because there's
like different classes too of people.
Yeah.
Like the people on the bottom levels, they have different names too. There's like mids, lower mids.
Upper mid, lower
I don't know what they call the bottom.
I think they.
I don't know. But the people in the lower floors are kind of more dirty, like blue collar. They work in the, what do you call it? Like the motor or whatever, the
engine room.
They're all dirty and stinky and sweaty, and but they're the hardest working ones. And they're the ones that keep things going, but they're underappreciated by the mids, which are like I don't know if the middle people are like the doctors, but
it's like the middle class.
Yeah, middle class, and then you get up to the upper ones, which is like all of the lawyers and doctors,
rich people.
Rich people. So you have those.
It's literally just our day and age put into a show, but post-apocalyptically.
Yeah, but they all kind of like don't like each other. Like the upper people make fun of like the lower people, but the lower people think they're the best and strongest and hardest working, and they think the people up top are like wimps.
Yeah.
Because they are clean and don't work with their hands.
And
it's like you don't normally leave your class. Like the main character, the sheriff, I forget her name. She's from she's from either middle or upper because her dad's a doctor. But she loved taking things apart and machines and technology, whatever. So she left, which was a big deal because she went from like the upper floors all the way to the very, very bottom in the engine room. And she's like the lead mechanic or whatever of the engine.
Yeah, Juliet.
And that was like crazy that she would stoop so low to work in the engine room.
Well, and then she went back up to be the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, everyone thought it was just the most random pick for a sheriff to be a former mechanic.
Yeah. There's a lot of good characters in the show, Juliet being the main one. But even Common, he's a rapper. He plays Robert Sims, the main judicial agent who's tracking down.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't know he was a rapper.
Yeah, he's a rapper. He was in John Wick 2, which you haven't seen yet, but he's a rapper turned actor, and this was his best performance by far. I actually believed him as being a judicial agent, and he was kind of creepy in some instances and very brutal. And there's a few twists in the show that I did not see coming, honestly, which is good.
We just don't know who's good and who's bad, and who knows things, who's in on all of it, who's hiding the information, and who's just oblivious and following the rules. And people are going out there trying to sniff out the truth. Yeah. And I like that. She exposes everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool, too, because like some of the simple stuff, like a Pez... is considered a relic. They have these things called relics in the show, which are not allowed because it reminds, but also it could show people what would have happened in the past world, and they don't want people to know anything about the past. So like things like a camera or a Pez or like a DVD or something, anything like typical.
Just anything from the old world. And it could be anything, like a mug with like a movie.
Yeah, like a map or magazine. They did not want anyone, and they had different levels of relics, like a class A relic or a class B, depending on how revealing it was of the past world. And that is a huge plot aspect in this show, is the different relics that are in it. And
then the whole you can leave if you say that you want to clean. You can leave the silo, but you're pretty much, the assumption is once you walk outside, the air is poisonous and you'll die immediately. And so the thing that's wild is some of these, like a couple of the sheriffs, like start questioning what's going on, and then they leave. And so the whole time you're wondering what's real and what's fake.
Yeah.
Like, is the screen real? Did they actually die? Or is it fake and they actually got away and the whole thing is just a lie?
Yeah.
So you don't know really until the very, very end.
No.
What's going on.
And that very, very end blew our minds.
Yep.
That we replayed that scene, I think 3 times.
Yep. Very last scene.
And paused it, tried to get close to the TV and see what was actually happening. That's why we can't wait for season 2, because probably haven't been this hyped for a second season of a show in a while. Especially both of us together.
It was just the most wild plot twist.
Yeah.
You would never expect it.
No, never thought. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but if you have not seen Silo, it's very fun and interesting to watch. I suggest it. It's got Rebecca Ferguson, Rashida Jones, who I'm pretty sure is in The Office, Tim Robbins, Harriet Walter, Ian Glenn, Common, David Oyelowo, and Chinaza Uche, which is Paul Billings, the second sheriff, or the second whatever. But yeah, Silo, great show. 2 left.
Okay.
Before we give our official Apple TV Plus rankings.
Because you love to make lists.
I do love to make lists.
He has a list for everything on his phone.
Mostly everything.
Songs, movies, music.
Let's...
That's songs. TV shows. Movies, songs. Is that about it,
Food items, candy items, anything you could think of.
Your favorite anything, he has a list for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I have 2 left, or we have 2 left. One we just finished watching, one we are still currently watching. Actually, there's 3 left. I haven't even put this one on the list yet. There is let's go with the one we finished. The Crowded Room. This show stars Tom Holland as the main actor, and the second main actress is Amanda Seyfried. Yeah, this one was really hard to watch. There's just a lot of themes and stuff that happens in the show that's really difficult.
It makes me want to go back and watch it again from the beginning, because it's the type of show where the first few episodes paints one picture and you think that is the truth, and then you learn a little bit more and everything you thought you knew is wrong, and it just blows your mind. And I want to go back and watch it knowing what I know now about Tom Holland.
I saw something about this show when we were first watching it, that Tom Holland said he was going to take a year off of acting because of a show, and then it turns out the show we were watching was the show that he was talking about, and I didn't really understand it until we finished the show, and I was like,
no, it just seemed like a normal show.
Yeah.
About, well, I don't want to spoil anything because you don't really know what's going on with him.
Yeah.
You suspect, but you don't really know for a good majority of the show. But it just seems like a normal, why would he need a year off from this person? And then you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets real, really fast towards the end where he has to do a lot of hard scenes that I think would mess with anyone's head.
The synopsis is: in Manhattan in the summer of 1979, a young man is arrested for a shocking crime, and an unlikely investigator must solve the mystery behind it before the true criminal strikes again. So it's a very vague synopsis. There's a ton of stuff that happens in this show that you don't you're trying to follow, but it keeps you guessing during every scene and every episode, and you don't really know what's going on until like the last episode or the second to last episode.
A lot of it doesn't make sense.
No.
Like his trip to England.
Yeah.
What role his dad plays in this? Like it's kind of confusing, and then it all makes sense once you figure out what's going on with Tom.
Like you said, not that I am anxiously wanting to rewatch a show, because it is really, it's got so much heavy content that it delivers. But on a rewatch, it would probably make a lot more sense knowing what we know now. But yeah, I completely get it why he's taken a whole year off of acting. That's what he had to do for this show. There's a lot of stuff someone would probably never want to do.
There's like a lot of traumatic themes, like trigger warnings probably to people who have gone through certain, I don't want to say what types of trauma, because I don't want to give away any spoilers, because you have to experience this show for yourself. It just like blows your mind.
There's from the first episode and every single episode, there's a warning at the beginning of the episode that's like serious scenes, flashes, content that might not be watchable by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an intense show in that aspect, and it does a great job at explaining itself and making you see kind of both sides of the defendant side, and also the whatever you call it, the opposing side, like both sides of the argument based off of what the synopsis says. This one's probably the hardest out of all of them to not spoil, because the whole show is centered around this one key thing that we don't want to talk about, because that's what the show is about, the crowded room. And once you figure out
the title,
what the title means, it's amazing. Because the whole time we were like, up until episode 6 or 7, we were like, why is it called The Crowded Room?
Through.
And
it's a very clever title.
Yeah, and the intro is still cool, but it's very long and kind of boring, I guess.
I don't remember it, so yeah.
We skipped it probably the most out of all of them. But when you get to the last 2 episodes, it makes so much sense. And this one is rated the worst out of all Apple TV Plus shows that we've seen, which I don't know why.
It has a bad rating?
Yeah, it's 33%. Well, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 33%.
How? An Invasion had 45?
Yeah.
What? There's no way. Like, who are they polling at Rotten Tomatoes? Because
that's what I'm saying. Rotten Tomatoes sucks.
That's...
IMDb has
terrible.
Higher rating than Invasion and The Last Thing He Told Me.
No, Crowded Room has Tom Holland in it. He's an amazing actor.
Tom Holland, Amanda Seyfried,
She's really
and
good too.
Emmy Rossum, who's actually in Phantom of the Opera. I don't know if you've seen that, but...
That's me.
Oh, okay. She's great. Yeah, a lot of great themes presented, and a lot of terrifying themes presented in this show that are just real world problems. That when you're presenting them in a show or a movie, probably the rating it's given right now is because people just didn't like the fact that they were talking about it. Which I guess I understand, but at the same time, it's bringing awareness to issues like this that people kind of shun because they don't want to deal with, but it has to be dealt with in our real world. And this deals with it very well, in my opinion.
It's just a lot of vague opinions we're giving right now.
I know, it's hard, but...
There are problems that have to be dealt with. There's a situation that is serious.
But Tom Holland's performance in this show is extremely well done. He's got a lot to deal with.
He's just a likable guy.
Yeah.
Like, you just feel for him. Like, oh, he just needs a hug.
Yeah. I've seen him in his Spider-Man role, and I've seen him in the movie called The Impossible or something. It was like a tsunami or something like that. So these are the only 2 roles I've seen him in. but this one is by far his best performed because he had to do so much and go so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brings him to the point of not wanting to act for an entire year, which is delaying.
Probably just like the last 2 episodes.
I mean,
maybe.
I think the big thing that was really weird for us to even see was the 3rd to last episode, which we're not going to talk about because of spoiler. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff in the show that is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. That's pretty good. And 71% of Google users like this TV show. So it's just Rotten Tomatoes that sucks.
One of our favorites for sure.
Yeah.
Top ones.
So that is The Crowded Room.
What is next?
Hijack. I think this is just going to be a limited series because it feels like nonstop with Liam Neeson.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a whole lot you can go from when it's going to end.
Yeah.
You can't.
Like they're going to do season 2 with another hijack.
Like another, like a train hijack.
Yeah. It's still very well made. Suspense, thriller, some drama. Idris Elba. I mean, honestly, anything I've seen him in, he's great.
Yeah.
Regardless if the show or the movie sucks, he's still a great actor in it.
He was on The Office, so.
When flight KA-29 is hijacked during its 7-hour journey from Dubai to London, corporate negotiator Sam Nelson tries to use his professional skills to save everyone on board. 7-hour journey, so that means each episode is tracking a complete hour of.
That reminds me of that show 24.
Yeah, which we never finished. I just feel like all around you buy into Idris Elba's character, but at the same time you don't really know if he's good, if he's a good guy. He feels like a good guy to me, but like some of the things he does to get the job done doesn't necessarily feel like what a typical hero in a movie or a show like this would be.
Well, I think because he's smarter.
Which is the cool part.
Think like the criminal, and he knows the safest way to get home is to help them achieve their plan to avoid chaos, but also sabotage it.
Yeah.
So it's like he's playing both roles. He's on their side and then he's not. But then it kind of all flips and they figure out his game. And so it's just interesting because you think he's taking the side of these hijackers, but he's not.
Even the bad guys, you do kind of feel for them throughout the show. They're not doing the right thing, but they're also not fully in control of their own situation.
Yeah, well, you find out like they pretty much are doing what they have to do to survive because they're in this gang or whatever, and their lives are not their own anymore. And this, the leader can do whatever he wants. He can take out any of their family members. So it's like, yeah, they're terrible people hijacking a plane and it could potentially kill like 250 British citizens, but we'll see if they do or not. We still don't know what's going to happen, if the plane's going to crash or if they're going to land. I mean, with Idris Elba, I feel like he could probably land a plane if he needed to, but yeah.
By the time this episode comes out, we will have finished the show. So
yeah.
But yeah, Hijack so far has been really good, and I'm pretty sure it's going to end really well. That leads us to our last show we're going to talk about, and that is Foundation. This one, I think we both like quite a bit.
I would say I like it. I don't love it, but I like it.
Okay. So far, season 1 is definitely better than season 2, but
yeah,
gotta see where season 2 goes. It's definitely a show that has the most massive world it's bringing to the table, or universe, I guess, because there's multiple worlds that's presented. It is the Apple TV Plus Star Wars, in my opinion. And I love the aspect of the Empire and the rulers being 3 different people who are the same person.
Different ages of the same person.
Yeah, and their names are just so cool. Like Dawn, Day, and Dusk. Dawn being the youngest, Day being the actual ruler, and Dusk being the past ruler who's now older and about to die soon. The synopsis is a complex saga of humans scattered on planets throughout the galaxy, all living under the rule of the Galactic Empire. The Galactic Empire, just like Star Wars. Dr. Harry Seldon and his loyal followers attempt to preserve their culture as the galaxy collapses around them. David S. Goyer is one of the producers and writers, which is interesting because he's produced a lot of superhero content recently, which I love. The composer is actually Bear McCreary, which I know you don't know, but
Well, I think he composed Outlander.
He did? He also composed The Walking Dead.
Ooh.
Which is one of the best themes ever made. It's interesting. Jared Harris is the guy who plays Harry Seldon. He's probably the most famous actor in this show. Yeah. We saw him first in Chernobyl, which was a phenomenal 5-episode show. We loved that. HBO Max, well, now Max.
Max, yeah, that was good.
His performance in that was great, and this performance is, very well done as well. Lee Pace, which is Brother Day.
He's on something else that I've seen, but I didn't know that until you pointed it out to me.
Lee Pace?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in Hobbit movies and Twilight. Yeah, he's in Twilight.
Yeah. I still don't even remember which character he was, but
he plays Garrett.
Oh.
The second half of Breaking Dawn.
Oh yeah. Well, he just looks so different. Like in Twilight, he's like more pale, obviously, and stuff.
I love his performance in the show. He has that sense of like all-knowing. Like he's trying to be God, pretty much. If a man could be God, this is what this man would be, Brother Day. Because I don't know, he's got that presence when he's when he's in a scene. He just takes control of the entire scene, Yeah. And that's why I love his character more than Brother Dusk and Brother Dawn.
Well, yeah. Plus, they're not like the leading ones. They don't get as much attention, except Day gets a lot of attention in one of the episodes because their DNA has become. I don't even understand all of that. Their DNA of the original
apparently
leader has been corrupted somehow, and so there's these tiny little differences. Like one is like left-handed, and the others are right-handed, and he doesn't like a certain type of drink, and the others do, and then like this starts getting weird.
Yeah.
Like Day wants to get married, which is totally unlike the other before him, and his robot caretaker protector who raised him from diapers becomes his like girlfriend. It's just like this weird
dynamic
corruptions of the perfect DNA and personality. And so you start seeing the Empire slowly starts cracking and changing, and everyone's starting to gang up and attack them and try and take them down.
Because like Harry Seldon's character is predicting the fall of the Empire. He's trying to prevent it. Brother Day and his, the Empire doesn't believe him, so they send him out to form Foundation, which is part of his psychohistory, which is just a cool name in general. And then so much time passes throughout this show. Like it's insane. I mean,
hundreds.
From the first episode to where we are at now is probably like 300 to 400 years. I would guess.
Yeah, well, they have like cryo sleep.
Yeah.
And it follows the same characters, but they're asleep for like hundreds of years traveling to certain planets. So it's like you see hundreds of years. Well, I think Seldon predicted it'd be like 1,000-year long process of the Empire falling. And then we know for sure at least 150 years one of the characters slept. And there's going to be another 150 when Salvor is in another scene. Something's happening to her.
Yeah, exactly.
So at least there's going to be 300 years. So it's like this wild, long gap.
Yeah. But there's a ton of stuff presented in this show that still has us kind of guessing as to where it's going to go. I think the first season was very well done with, the introductions of the characters and the execution towards the last episode. It felt like it could have ended there, but I'm kind of glad it is going on. I just hope that it doesn't fall flat in season 2.
Oh, I feel like it's starting to decline in quality. Like the whole Prime Radiant, like Harry can predict the future with math equations.
Yeah.
And it's getting really into that, like,
too technical.
Yeah, it's getting too technical where they're talking about things and you're like, wait, I don't even understand what's going on, because like he was a real person and then he got trapped in this cube, Prime Radiant, which is like the math equation. So then he's like, his body's gone, but his conscience is living in one place, and then it's also living in another place. And you're like, I don't even understand this whole conscience
Yeah.
all this kind of technical stuff where you get a little lost, it gets a little fuzzy, and they really lean into that and for a while, and I don't quite enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, it's very like if you're not paying attention, you'll miss stuff. Which is why we had to rewind a couple scenes, but
I did fall asleep during the show.
Yeah.
Like, it's good, but the shows are literally an hour long.
Yeah, it's very,
and I
very
can't
long.
hang on that long at like 11 o'clock and it's talking about math. I'm just like,
Yeah.
but
We have to watch all our shows once our son goes to bed. So
yeah, we have like 2 good hours and then we're asleep on the couch by like 11:30.
Yeah. It happens more often than we'd like to admit. But regardless of how season 2 is going, I still think season 1 is very well done. It actually has a high score all around, 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really high on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4 out of 5 on Vague Visages. But yeah, I really like it, especially season 1. I hope season 2 lands well for us. I know we're still going to watch it. I feel like this is a show that could go for 3 or 4 seasons just because of the scale of it.
It might just get worse though.
It could get worse. But I don't know. I feel like
season 1 was really good. Really interesting. It all made sense.
Yeah.
Now I feel like we're starting to get lost a little bit.
Yeah. I think it's because season 1 kind of closed that now we're like, why are they continuing it, and what can they do that will be better than the end of season 1? But then again, if they only had season 1, it's like, why would you spend so much time showing the scale of this world and universe if you're just gonna have 8 episodes? So I don't know, who knows? I mean, without spoilers given, like, there's so much to be explored with Brother Day and his relationships in season 2, Harry Seldon in season 2, Gale and Salvor in season 2, like them getting to finally be together. And who knows if characters that were in season 1 that we haven't seen yet in season 2 are going to come back. Anything's up for grabs right now. So Foundation is definitely the most current show we're watching that we are kind of interested to see what will happen.
Yeah, but it's not in my probably not in my top 5.
Okay. Now that we've talked about all of the Apple TV Plus shows we've seen, I would like us to rank our top 5 shows from Apple TV Plus, going from 5 to 1. And let's go 5 and 5, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 2, and 1 1.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
Then at the end, we'll just list all of them for the sake of me posting a short. Okay. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
All right. So at number 5, because it's not done yet, I am putting Silo at number 5.
At 5?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it'll make sense to you once I list my other.
I can't wait to see what other ones you have. If that one's 5.
Silo is phenomenal.
Okay.
But there's only 1 season, and I know it's still going on. So I hope the next season can hold up to season 1. We'll see.
I think it will. I think Silo is one that's going to keep getting better because it's explaining more of this mystery. Like, anyway. My number 5 was Severance.
Okay. Any particular reason why you have it at 5, or?
Because the other 4 are better.
Okay. That's why I have 4. That's why I have Silo at 5 as of right now.
Okay.
Number 4 is For All Mankind.
Okay.
That's got 3 seasons out right now. So, I don't know. I just love the scale of that show. I love all the characters that are portrayed and just the interesting history alterations that are given to us throughout the whole 3-season.
Yeah, that one's not in my top 5. Man. I think it might be a 6.
Yeah, it's because we haven't watched it in a while.
Well, I mean, I like all of that space stuff and, the 70s, 80s, whatever. I really liked it, but it didn't intrigue me as much as these other ones, unfortunately.
I'm interested to see what you have at 4.
My number 4, should I say?
Yeah.
Okay, was Crowded Room. What
Man.
What?
I didn't expect you to have it in your top 5.
Really?
Yeah, just because of how like hard it is to watch some of that stuff.
I mean, those serious issues didn't really appear until the very, very end.
Yeah.
And even then, like, it's hard
sense.
to watch, but it's like, it's a really good show.
Yeah, it is. Makes me kind of rethink my list, but all right, your number 4 is The Crowded Room.
Okay, 3?
Number 3 for me is Severance.
Okay.
Yet again, like Silo, it only has 1 season, but that show just blew me away, and that was one of the first ones we watched, and I'm so excited for season 2. I just can't wait for it to come out.
Well, my number 3 was Silo.
So we have ours swapped.
You
have Silo at 3, I have it at 5, and I have Severance at 3, you have it at 5.
Yep.
Pretty cool. Number 2. I feel like our number 2 and 1 are going to be the same.
I think so. Well, I think so.
But I wonder if they're going to be swapped.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Number 2 for me is C.
Yeah, they are swapped. My number 2 is Ted Lasso.
And number 1 is Ted Lasso.
And number 1 is C.
So.
But it's a really, really close second.
Yeah.
Like, I could have just easily put it the other way. But right now I'm feeling like C was just a little more epic for me.
It definitely is more epic. I put Ted Lasso at 1 because of the emotional tug that it had on me. But C is definitely more up my alley.
For C, I'm like,
our alley.
Whoa. And for Ted Lasso, I'm like, aw.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want the heartfelt or do you want the kind of shock and awe?
Yeah, I think those are 2 perfect top 2 picks for both of us.
Yeah.
And that just means that those 2 shows are literally the best ones that Apple TV Plus has given us. And everyone should go watch them. But I'm going to list my top 5 and then you'll list your top 5. So my top 5 Apple TV Plus shows. Number 5, Silo. Number 4, For All Mankind. Number 3, Severance. Number 2, C. And number 1, Ted Lasso.
So you did you have Crowded Room?
I did not have Crowded Room.
Okay, so your For All Mankind was my Crowded Room.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, though, that you liked it better than Crowded Room.
I'm also basing my list off of what I could rewatch more. So I have Crowded Room at 8.
Ooh. What is 6 and 7?
7 is Blackbird and 6 is Defending Jacob.
Defending Jacob over Tom Holland?
I mean, I've watched that one twice. That has Chris Evans.
It has Tom Holland.
I know, but I like Chris Evans more.
Tom Holland's better.
Chris Evans is better.
Okay. Well, my 5 is Severance, 4 Crowded Room, 3 Silo, 2 Ted Lasso, and 1 C.
Solid picks for both of our top 5, even though you hate that I didn't put The Crowded Room in my top 5.
I'm a little salty. It's number 8.
I mean, it's 8 out of 14.
Yeah.
It honestly, it could be number 6. But just based off the weight and off of rewatchability, I feel like I could rewatch Blackbird because it's only 6 episodes, and Defending Jacob I've clearly already watched twice in a row.
I don't really think I could go back and watch Defending Jacob a whole bunch of times. Like, it was good, but like, eh.
Yeah, I know. But for me, it's a little bit different. I think because I was the first one I watched, and it's kind of like got a soft spot in my heart. But
when you first fell in love with Apple TV.
Yeah, and I had a subscription to it for a while, and it took me a little while to get into watching that first show. So I'm glad I did, because then it started me on the path, and it started you on the path of watching Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, the thing is, no one in our family has Apple TV. None of our friends, relatives, no one knows about it. And it's like, what in the world? Why don't more people know about this?
Yeah. Well,
and I've showed my family and friends different episodes, but I just feel like me and you are on this like obsession with Apple TV. There's got to be others out there who feel the way we do about these shows.
I'm sure there is, but there's a lot of people that, first of all, don't like Apple just because they don't like Apple, and second of all, they think that Apple can't make something good as far as show or movies. And granted, yes, we've talked about one show that was god awful, and there's been a couple movies that I've heard that were just terrible, but we're not talking about the movies, we're talking about the shows.
However, I have seen one Apple TV movie. Probably a couple. I just watched The Beanie Bubble.
Oh yeah, and you watched
It's not too shabby.
The Greatest Beer on too with Zac Efron, right?
Yep, that one was really good. So some of their movies are good.
Yeah.
I just don't watch movies a lot because they're long, but...
Yeah, we're definitely show watchers.
Yep.
When we watch stuff together.
Because who wants a 2-hour movie when you can have like a 40-hour show?
Very controversial, but I agree with you.
It's a movie that never ends.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Shows can just captivate you more with the more time they are given, but at the same time, they could also suck way more than a movie can. Yeah, clearly. But yeah, so all in all, we would definitely recommend Apple TV Plus shows specifically. If you have an Apple TV Plus subscription, use it. Why do you have it if you're not using it? If you have an Apple device, you should have 3 or 6 months free. Click that code to get it. We are not sponsored by Apple at all.
No, but we should.
What?
We should be sponsored because we've told everybody in our lives, do you have Apple TV? Because there's like 10 really good shows. Yeah,
and I've bought way too many Apple products in the past 5 years that I should be sponsored for. But anyway, like I said, if you have a subscription, go watch it. If you don't have a subscription, I would recommend just signing up for the free trial.
But it's like $6.
It's the cheapest subscription that you could ever get. And being that it is an Apple based subscription service, all of them are exclusive to being Apple shows. So if you like exclusive shows, watch it. Because stuff like Netflix and Prime and stuff like that, they have some repeat shows. So you can watch it on whatever platform you want, but Apple is only on Apple. And yeah, 99% of them are a great watch. And if you don't think so, then you know what? You're wrong. So go watch them. If you like this episode, leave a like, leave a comment. Thank you for everyone who watched this full, really long, probably our longest episode. It's definitely our longest episode.
Can I just say, if you have watched any of these shows, can you please comment? Because I feel like we're all alone in this Apple TV world.
Yeah.
So I want to hear what other people have seen.
Yeah, please comment. Let us know what you think, good or bad. We love to see comments on our videos, and it just brings more interaction. So really had a fun time with this episode. First time having my wife, Janae, on the show. And we will see you guys next time.